It's UFC Rio, and just a quick disclaimer, I'm recording this way before the card. This is like the Wednesday before UFC 320. Now, I'll be out of town pretty soon, so I wanted to make sure I got this out. That said, it'll be up for channel members earlier, so if there is a fight on here that has changed and I still have it on here, you don't need to tell me you forgot this fight or why isn't this fight here. Yeah, I understand. It's probably going to happen. Their fights fall out all the time. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to give you the fights as they are currently, and then we'll go from there. So, without any other wasted time, all my links for everything you could ever need are in the description, and I will see you in the matchup at 135 pounds. Saimon Oliveira takes on Luan Lacerda. Luan Lacerda is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 2-3 for Oliveira. For Lacerda, we're going to start on his side. Good striker. He comes forward with a wild style of pressure. Lots of power, good volume, good kicks, but his defense is just kind of not really there. He's a good grappler as well. He's got good sweeps, good transitions, and he'll attack submissions, and he's got a good arsenal of submissions that he can do that with. Very much offense over defense, much like his opponent here in Oliveira, who is a decent striker with good kicks, flying knees, but he spins a lot. And the spinning attacks are very boom or bust. That's how it works. If you hit a big shot with the spinning attack, that's great. But if you miss, you put yourself off balance. You turn your back to your opponent every time you do a spinning attack by default. So that's a problem as well. Decent grappler. He also has a really wide submission arsenal. He's very quick to attack submissions, and he is a bit of a guillotine specialist. He will use the guillotine to defend takedowns, which is not optimal, but also, he does run the chance of grabbing up that guillotine, which he is pretty good at. So there is that. He lacks the open mat takedown ability to get the fight to the mat on his terms most of the time, so that's a problem for him as well. And basically, we got a matchup between a couple of guys that are going to be all offense, not a lot of defense. With that, you take your pick. Who do you like best? It's going to be chaos from my estimations. I'm going to side with Lacerda. The long-time layoff does worry me a bit, but I don't think either guy is really super ahead of the other one, but I think Lacerda does have just a little bit more tools in the bag, so I'm going to take Lacerda. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next matchup. Valter Walker takes on Mohammed Usman. Usman is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 4-1 for Walker, and we know that Walker is kind of knocking on the door of getting a record for the most consecutive heel hooks in the UFC, and that's an interesting thing to do. He got 3 in a row. We'll see if we can get that here. We'll start with the Usman side, though, when we break these guys down. Decent striker. He's got power. He'll pump the jab out there. That's about it. Otherwise, on the feet, he doesn't really have a whole lot. It still does make him a better striker than Valter Walker, sort of, but, throws a lot of single shots, volume, doesn't react well to being hit. These are all big red flags for Usman. But he does have some serious power when he lets the hands go. He's a good grappler, decent takedowns, really good cage push, but that's because he's a freak of nature. The dude is super strong and just can shove you up against the cage and hold you there for 3 rounds. Which I think is his best path to victory here, but it's going to be scary in case Walker decides to drop to his butt and grab an ankle. You know what I mean? But that's probably his best path here outside of just landing a power shot. He's athletic. He's going to be the more athletic heavyweight in most fights because, the dude is a physical specimen. So there is that. On the other side, we got Valter Walker, whose striking is like average at best. He has a decent step-in knee, but that is it. That is it. Otherwise, his striking is bad, right? Striking defense isn't there, and he seems super uncomfortable on the feet. But what he lacks in the striking, he definitely makes up for in the grappling. He's an absolute solid grappler with good takedowns, and he'll still shoot when he's tired. We've seen that before. He did have that blemish in his debut, but that's how it works, guys. Debuts are hard. People act like you should perform the same in your debut as you do in any other fight, and maybe that's the case. Maybe you should perform the same, but the fighters just don't. It's not the same thing. Nerves and stuff, right? Anyway, good top pressure for Walker. He's a bit of a grinder. Doesn't really do a whole lot of exciting stuff from the top when he's just trying to grind guys out. Does a good job with it. He'll establish his position before he goes for any ground and pound or anything like that. So you see him just kind of holding guys down, right? At least prior to his heel hook stretch. But either way, very much position over submission, position before ground and pound, all that. The heel hook, though, has changed the game for this man. Because instead of all that stuff, he's just like, screw it, we'll grab an ankle and we're going to rip this sucker right off. And he's done it 3 times in a row, which is crazy. And part of me thinks that that's an awesome thing that he's probably going to be able to do that again here. The other part of me thinks that if he's trying way too hard to get that heel hook, that could be a problem for him here, and he could end up in some really bad spots because of it. I still think he's going to win, but there is the concern that Walker is a little too like happy to jump for that heel hook, and that could cause him some problems and could cause him to lose the fight. But I'm still going to take Walker. Let me know what you guys think. It should be a fun matchup at 125 pounds. Jafel Filho takes on Clayton Carpenter. Carpenter is 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Filho. Let's start on the Carpenter side. Dude's a good striker. He can kick to all levels. Good combinations in which he puts his punches and kicks together. There's a lot to like there. He's very clean in his striking. He's a solid grappler, though. I think he's a better grappler than he is striker, but yeah, it kind of depends on matchups. Good takedowns. Pretty solid there. Good submission arsenal. Transitions well. Likes to take the back. Can do some of his best work from there. On the other side, we have Filho, who, decent striker. He's kind of lead hook dependent, but he's got a ton of power in that lead hook. His striking defense isn't the greatest, but he is durable. He can take a punch and give one back. Solid grappler as well. He's got the body lock with the trip that he likes to do, so he'll get a hold of his opponents and just kind of take the legs out from under them, or take at least one leg out from under them and pull them over. Does a really good job there. He's aggressively going to attack submissions, and he does have a really, really wide arsenal of submissions. Good scrambler, but he's very much submission over position. So sometimes he can end up on the bottom because he's going for submissions and maybe doesn't get them. So there is that. Does start super fast, though, so he's best early on in a fight when he's just coming at you like he's got everything in the tank still. For me, this matchup comes down to, does Filho get a really good start on Carpenter and get the win early, or does this fight get past that initial danger factor from Filho and Carpenter take over? That's what I think happens. I think Carpenter gets the win. I think he's able to get more control time positions, stay where he needs to do there, be safe in the early part of the fight, and then maybe even get a finish late. Probably not, though. Probably a decision because Filho is very tough. But then again, I'm terrible at props, so don't listen to me on that. Clayton Carpenter is the pick. Let me know what you think. Up at 135 pounds. Irina Alekseeva returns to take on the newcomer, Mesquita. Mesquita's 5-0 in her last 5 fights, so she's also 5-0 in the career. She has an accomplished grappling background, though, so there is that. Some would consider her to be one of the better grapplers in her division. In the world, actually. So there is that, but also she's very new to MMA. So now she's taking on somebody who's also still kind of early in her career, 5-3, 2-3 in the last 5 for Alekseeva. Let's start on the newcomer for Mesquita. She is a decent striker. Basically, the grappling threat is going to give her some opportunities on the feet because people are worried about being taken down. She has a decent leg kick, but she's also pretty short for the division, so oftentimes that's kind of a tricky thing for her. Her grappling, though, is where she gets it done. She's very solid. She has good takedowns even. Good single leg, good double leg, which is what you like to see from someone who's a jiu-jitsu player. When you see them shooting like wrestling style lower body takedowns, that's just, wow, you did the thing that you need to do. Good job. You can get the fight to the mat, because a lot of them cannot. A lot of jiu-jitsu players just can't get the fight to the mat because they spend all their time grappling, but they don't spend any time trying to get learning how to get the fight to that position. Either way, take Mackenzie Dern, for example. But either way, let's get back to this. Top pressure's there for Mesquita. She's very good there. Ground and pound's pretty solid. She'll use that basically to get her opponents to turn over and give up their back. She does like to get to the back because the rear naked choke seems to be her best move. This process here is very good. Like the whole sequence of just her grappling is good. On the other side, for Alekseeva, decent striker, forward pressure, volume, and power. Those are there. She has that, but her striking defense is terrible, and she will swing wild. She still might have a few things on the feet that she'll have an edge over Mesquita, but not, I mean, she's not the cleaner, but she probably is the more aggressive on the feet, so I will give her that. In the grappling, Alekseeva, I don't know. She just looked horrible in the grappling in her last fight. She didn't have any takedowns, just none. No open mat takedowns whatsoever. So that's a new thing I've added to her list. But she is a decent grappler. She has good cage push and good throws. Once she gets into that throw, she does have some judo to her. Or is it judo? I believe it's judo anyway. So she has some throws there from the judo. She will attack submissions, but her control time she's not very good at that. Her cardio falls apart. Honestly, I think she's outmatched most places in this fight, and I think the newcomer gets it done. But because it is a newcomer, be a little wary of that. I'm going to take Mesquita to get it done. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the strawweight matchup. Julia Polastri takes on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Kowalkiewicz is 3-2 in her last 5. Likewise for Polastri. Interesting fight here because Kowalkiewicz, she's probably going to be the better striker just by a little bit here. She's very clean, sticks to her combinations, good volume, decent amount of power for 115 pounds. She's got pretty good stink on those punches. Decent grappling. Her takedown defense is pretty good. She can mix in her own takedowns if she has to, but if you get her down, if you're a better grappler, you can have your way there, which Polastri is going to need to want to, or well, she's probably going to want to do. I mean, she could strike with her. She's a good enough striker. She's got good straight punches, good power. The knees I like, kicks are good, but and durability is good. The girl's just going to zombie through whatever the heck you're going to throw. Ask Lupita Godinez about that. But yeah, Polastri, tough girl, right? But grappling is going to be her path in this fight, right? If she can get the takedowns going, which she's fine at, that would be the path. She doesn't defend takedowns well, but I don't think Kowalkiewicz wants to go to the mat anyway, so I don't think that's a problem for her here. Good ground and pound, good scrambles, seeks submissions, and even if she does end up on her back, she's very active. I think there's a lot to like in the grappling upside for Polastri. It's just, does she get the fight to the mat, and does she even try for that before it's too late? Because that's something I could see happening here, is where we get Polastri coming forward wanting to strike, just throwing hands and getting picked apart by Kowalkiewicz. I'm going to side with Polastri and hope that she comes in with the game plan that you would like to see her do, and that's sell out for the takedowns and get this fight to the mat to get the win. But if she decides to strike, there's a real chance that Kowalkiewicz just gives her a vet lesson and beats her up. I'm going to take Polastri. Let me know what you think. I don't feel very confident in this one at all. And I'll see you next heavyweights next. Vitor Petrino takes on Thomas Petersen. Both these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. Now, if you remember, Petrino made his successful move up to heavyweight in his last one. So he's looking to make that 2-0 at heavyweight here. For Petersen, he's been in heavyweight, right? Let's start on Petersen's side. He is a decent striker with decent straight punches, but he has really solid dirty boxing. That is by far his best weapon on the feet. When he gets into that like half clinch range and just starts dirty boxing people up, he does a darn good job. However, sometimes when he's out at range, he just tucks his chin and just charges in with strikes like a madman. It's just wild to do against a guy like Petrino. If he does that here, he might get dropped and put into a different dimension. He's a good grappler, though. I think he's the better grappler here, and I don't think that's crazy to say. If he gets a body lock on his opponent, he's probably putting him on the mat, and he's got gosh darn good ground and pound. So I like a lot for Petersen here. Not a lot here. Dirty boxing I do like, but the rest of this I'm not looking for against Petrino, because Petrino's gonna be a good striker. He's got a good jab, good power, and he's really dangerous in the pocket. So even if the dirty boxing's working for Petersen, yeah, the pocket boxing for Petrino is pretty good too. Hands are low. His striking defense isn't the best because of it, but that hasn't really been his problem, except for I guess the Jacoby fight. But I mean, realistically, he's winning most of that fight and got caught. It's how it happens sometimes. He's a decent grappler. He can mix in his own takedowns. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think he wants to grapple with Petersen. If he starts doing that, I think he probably loses. His takedown defense isn't great, but he does get back to his feet, and he is a very strong individual. It's tough. It's a really tough fight to call, because I can see a path for both guys, a very clear path for both guys. Now, I understand people in the comments don't understand that that's how that works a lot of the time, and you get this where like you know who's going to win, but then if they lose, like you just disregard that you ever said that. But in your head, you just know who's going to win, and there's no chance the other guy is going to win. I like to look at things a little bit differently. I think both guys do have very clear paths here. I do. I really do. I'm going to take Petrino because I think it favors him where the card's at. I think it favors him that he's going to be the more, he's going to be the better striker, and he's also going to be probably the more physically powerful guy, at least early on. So I'm going to take Petrino. It's another fight, though, that just makes me worry. I don't trust Petrino. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, and he's way too heavy for me to throw very far. Let me know what you think. Matchup at 125 pounds. Both of these gentlemen are 4-1 in their last 5 fights. Both of these gentlemen coming off of a submission loss in their UFC debut. We have Rocha taking on Stewart Nicoll. Now, for Stewart Nicoll, he got guillotined in his debut, and that's not what you want to see for a jiu-jitsu coach. But it's debut. It happens, guys. And it was against Jesus Aguilar, who is a guy who is pretty darn good at the guillotine. So there's that. Nicoll is a decent striker. He's got a good leg kick. He uses the striking to close the distance because he needs to close the distance to get the fight to the mat. But his striking defense is bad. Shots coming down the middle land just like at will. His hands are kind of like out wide a little bit, and he just, not good. So this dude needs to get this fight off the feet as soon as possible, or he's going to get pieced up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. He is a solid grappler, though. I think he's probably the better grappler out of the two. He has the ability to chain his takedowns together. Really good mat returns as well when need be. He's got pretty good control. He laces the legs with that, with that style where you put like kind of triangle over the legs and put your ankle across their ankles to make it so their legs can't really do anything. He does that really well. Ground and pound volume's there. Back takes are there. Honestly, if he gets the fight to the mat and uses his control time, I think he can win a control-based decision. Now, on the other side, if he can't do that, Rocha's going to beat the crap out of him on the feet because this guy's a way better striker. He's got good volume, good combinations, and works the body really well. So, stays on the feet. He's probably going to win. Gets to the ground. He could win. But, I mean, Rocha's a good grappler, right? He's got it was bad takedown defense, but he's got a really good get-up game. He fights really well out of bad positions. So, like, you see this guy end up in bad spots, and he fights out and wins. Perfect example was his Contender Series fight. First round, dude's getting controlled, getting taken down, getting laid on, whatever. Somehow just fights through that, survives, and then in the second round just puts a knee to the guy's face and puts him out. Yeah, that can happen. Now, here's what I'm thinking, though. I think Nicoll has the same game plan. Get the guy to the mat, control him. I don't think he runs into a knee. So I think he's going to get it done. But do I feel confident in that? Also knowing that this dude cannot defend against strikes and is going to be the worst striker and the fight's going to start on the feet? No. But you let me know what you think. Really fun fight here at 170 pounds. Well, for one of these guys, it will be Vicente Luque. He takes on Joel Alvarez. Alvarez is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. 2-3 for Vicente Luque. Not the best run. He's had a rough run for a while now, ever since that Nicoll fight. But Joel Alvarez, good striker, right? He's got decent power, good jab, good knees, works the body really well, and he's super, super aggressive. All of this is going to be a problem for a guy like Luque. Problem is, usually to get away from those strikes, you got to take a guy to the mat. Alvarez will let you take him to the mat. He has terrible takedown defense. I don't know if he's ever defended a takedown. Maybe once, but like he doesn't usually want to because he's got solid grappling. Dude's toolbox is massive, right? This guy's got all the tools in the arsenal. Very good submission arsenal where he attacks chokes primarily, and he'll set them up with his ground and pound. Excellent transitions. He can sweep you from the bottom, all that good stuff. So it's kind of like he's probably going to hurt you on the feet with this wild, aggressive style. But if you take him down, you're kind of just going into another bad place. So that's rough. Alvarez is a real problem for people. On the other side, you got Vicente Luque. Good striker, tons of power, good lead hook, good combinations, good counter strikes, all that. But like he doesn't really want to strike so much anymore. People keep arguing with me in the comments about that. Give it up. He doesn't want to get hit anymore. He's blatantly said this in interviews. He's concerned about his brain issues that he had after the Nicoll fight. I understand that he's won fights since then. He beat Temba Garimbo. Great. He's clearly not the same guy when it comes to his striking. Stop arguing with me. You're wrong. I'm telling you now, you're wrong. Now, he's a good grappler. He's a better striker than he is grappler typically, but he's not there anymore. So this fight, his best path is going to be to grapple. And I know that sounds crazy. Just hear me out. He has pretty good ground and pound. Yes, we all know about the Darce choke. He'll use it to defend takedowns. I don't think that's really going to come into play super, at a super high clip here. But the top control. If he shoots a takedown and gets on top of Alvarez and just holds on for dear life and tries to stay on top, he has good enough jiu-jitsu, there's a chance he does that. But if he starts to try to win the fight from there, outside of just grind out a super boring decision, that's when Alvarez can make some space and get some stuff going. I do think Luque is fighting an uphill battle here. I think it's going to be not a good sign on the feet, and I think once he goes to the mat, he needs to be super, super safe, and I just don't see it happen. I think Alvarez wins this fight. Maybe Luque goes out there and he just wants to trade and brawl and the durability's back and I'm totally wrong and you can just talk all the smack in the world. If these two guys go to war and Luque comes out of this war after 3 rounds, just blood dripping out of his face and ate all the shots, then yeah, I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm stupid. I don't think he likes getting hit anymore. I think he's made that very clear. I think Alvarez is the side and I think he's going to get this one done. Let me know what you think, though. I'll see you in the next up at 145 pounds. Ricardo Ramos takes on Kaan Offley. Offley is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 2-3 for Ramos. Interesting matchup here, and I'm going to tell you why here in a bit. But let's start with just the skills. Kaan Offley, he's a pretty good striker, right? He's got good forward pressure, good leg kick, good volume, but he's a bit of a brawler, which is good or bad, right? The guy's willing to get in there and trade with you, and he's a bit small for the class, so that is a problem for him at times. He's a good grappler, though. Decent takedowns. Good back taker. Good rear naked choke. He's got a good guillotine. Remember that. Looking at the other side for Ramos. Good striker with a diverse attack. He's got a good leg kick. He spins quite a bit, which is good and bad. And he's often just like looking for that big shot. He wants the big shot to put the guys out. And that's kind of, it seems like he's not dependent on that per se, but pretty adjacent to dependent on that. He's a good grappler. Timing on the takedowns is good. Good transitions, good back taker, but sometimes he gets stuck on bottom as well. We've also seen him get caught in a lot of guillotines. He's got a good guillotine himself, but he gets caught in a lot of guillotines. This is tricky for me because I can absolutely see Ramos winning this fight by being the bigger, longer, striker with big, powerful shots. But I can also see Offley getting that guillotine or getting him to the mat and getting the rear naked choke because Ramos likes to get subbed. It just seems like it's a thing. And then I look at Offley, and everybody's kind of down on him because he's lost his last 2 fights. But then you look at who he's lost to, and you're like, okay, Naimov and Myron Santos. And you're like, okay, I think both of those guys beat Ramos pretty easily too. So maybe it makes it tricky for me. And I think I'm going to take a shot on Kaan Offley to get this one done. I think I'm going to take him for the pick. Now, taking a shot does not mean I'm betting on Kaan Offley. It means I'm taking him as a pick. For the bets, you got to check on the Patreon, which that's up to you if you want to do that. Whatever you think. But for me, I'm going to take Kaan Offley here. I'm going to say he gets a guillotine or a rear naked choke. I think he gets a submission. We're going to take Offley. Let me know what you think. Up at 145 pounds, we have Lucas Almeida taking on Michael Aswell. Aswell is 3-2 in his last 5, 2-3 for Almeida. When we look at Michael Aswell, solid striker. Very much boxing heavy, but a solid striker. Comes forward and just pumps his jab to find the range. Once he starts finding that range, the volume comes with the 1-2. It's constant 1-2s coming forward. That's how he fights. He starts throwing combinations as the fight grows. So, starts with the jab, works to the 1-2, starts working at full combinations as the fight goes on. Decent enough power. He counters back when he's hit, but he does get hit a lot because he's constantly throwing offense. His defense is lacking. He is durable, though. We've seen him take fights up a weight class and still eat the shots from those guys that are also pretty powerful dudes. Decent grappler. He doesn't really commit to the grappling when he drops the guy and goes for the ground and pound, so that's something you like to see. It makes it harder for them to wrap him up and control him with their guard. Decent takedown defense, but the second effort often will get him. So he can stop the first takedown if you're just shooting a single shot, but if you can chain wrestle, chain a couple takedowns together, you'll often get him. He will work to get back up, though, and he does have pretty good submission defense. Cardio and pace are what get it done for a guy like Aswell. On the other side, Lucas Almeida is a good striker with a ton of power. He's very fast, and he's accurate. There's a lot to like as far as the explosivity, the timing on the shots, all that good stuff. Decent grappling. He's active from his back. He's got a good choke arsenal. Takedown defense is lacking. I don't think he's got to worry about that here because he typically just decides to strike to defend takedowns. Like he'll try to catch people on the way in where they strike to defend the takedown. Honestly, I think this is going to be an Aswell showcase because the guy's going to eat some shots and keep coming, put the pace on, the pressure on, and I think he's just going to overwhelm Almeida, and I think he's going to get the win, probably get a later knockout or TKO. We're taking Aswell. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the heavyweight matchup between Jonathan Diniz and Mario Pinto. Pinto's undefeated, 10-0, 5-0 in the last 5, 4-1 for Diniz. When we look at these two, I mean, both guys, 10 professional fights, both guys with very similar records. It matches up pretty well on paper. We'll start with Pinto, good striker. He pokes the jab out there, keeps his guard high, good leg kick volume, and he starts to put together combinations, but not right away. He takes his time, figures out the range, and then starts delivering really nice combinations, but it takes him a while. In the first round, you often are kind of like, this is the guy that I thought was going to win, because he's just kind of taking his time, but he starts to pick it up and he starts to do really well. He'll build into the fight. He's a good grappler as well. He's decent takedown defense. He works back to his feet really well. Good top control and good ground and pound. Now, this could be a real path for him, considering his opponent, Jonathan Diniz. Very weak off his back. If you take this guy down, he's just kind of there. Good striker, though. Actually, a solid striker. This guy's a very solid striker. He's got strikes to all levels, good power, puts together combinations, and he has really nice knees up the middle. I think if they stay on the feet, this fight can be competitive, but I think Diniz has a pretty, slight advantage. If it's on the ground, it's a massive advantage for Pinto. I've got to assume Pinto's going to do that, but the fight's going to start on the feet, and I could see that not going his way if he doesn't react quick enough. I'm going to take Pinto under the guys that I think he's going to try to grapple, and if he does not, well then, shame on me. I'll see you guys in the next fight. We've got a matchup that's a really tricky one here in the 135-pound division. Montel Jackson takes on Davison Figueiredo. Figueiredo is 3-2 in his last 5, 5-0 for Jackson in the last 5, but Figueiredo's fought the best of the best in his last 5 fights. In fact, over the length of his UFC career, he's been a champion at flyweight. He's fought the best of the best up at bantamweight, at least close to the best of the best. I guess he hasn't fought for the title yet, but he's been fighting some of the best guys at bantamweight. And Montel Jackson has fought good competition, but nowhere near the level of Figueiredo, and I don't think that takes a lot of arguing for you to understand that. Maybe it does. That's your fault if it does. I think Jackson is right to get this step up in competition here, but he's taking on a guy that's fought some of the best, and Jackson is presumably a step down in competition from that. So it's kind of, does Jackson rise to the occasion, or does Figueiredo show us why he's at the top? That's what we're getting here. So for Jackson, good striker, right? Powerful, accurate, good striking defense. He's very patient, but the problem is sometimes he can be a bit low volume when he's waiting for that shot. But all in all, the dude is good. He's hard to hit, and he's good at hitting you. So that's kind of what you want, right? It's nothing like, when you watch him strike, you're not like, wow, this guy is the greatest striker in the UFC. You're like, wow, this guy's a problem for anybody in the division, though. That's kind of what you see, at least for me. Good grappler. He has really good takedown defense. He has takedowns of his own, and then once he gets on top, his top control is solid. Like, he's probably going to stay there. He's fighting Deiveson Figueiredo, who I would say skill for skill has more skills in the arsenal, and I think that's kind of obvious to say. The dude has good striking, good forward pressure, plenty of power. It seems to translate fairly well up to this weight class. Accurate, he works the body well, good kicks. He's patient in his own right, but he does keep his hands low, and that can be a serious problem with an accurate sniper like Montel Jackson. He's a solid grappler, though. The problem is just decent takedowns. I think he might struggle to get the takedowns on Jackson. He does have nice, just really tight chokes once he gets the fight to the mat, and he can get a hold of that neck. Good top pressure, and he transitions well from position to position. The problem, though, I don't know that he gets the fight to the mat. So it's tricky. And if we get a striking matchup between these two, even though I think Figueiredo might have more tools in the arsenal, I think a guy like Jackson is a really bad stylistic matchup for him. But then again, if we get the fight to the mat, Figueiredo's darn good on the ground, but can he get the fight to the mat? What does he have to do to get the fight to the mat? How much does that fatigue him trying to pull down a guy like Jackson who has really good takedown defense? I think I'm going to sit back, crack a root beer, and watch this fight for funsies, but for the sake of a pick, because I have to do that, because otherwise you guys will lose your minds, I'm going to take Montel Jackson, and gosh, does that hurt me to do that, because I think Figueiredo is the more skilled fighter. I just think this is a bad matchup for him stylistically. So we're going to take Jackson and see what happens. Let me know what you think. Folks, it's the main event of the evening, and I just hate to beg, but would you please just go down there and hit the like button? You guys have no idea how much that actually helps the channel. So if you haven't already, and I know some of you have, and you guys are great, but if you haven't already, please do that for me. It means the most. I'm not going to ask you for a bunch of other crap. Just hit the like button, all right? Anyway, back to the main event. We have Charles Oliveira, who was originally scheduled for this card. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, and he was supposed to take on one Rafael Fiziev. Gamrot steps in, though. Mateusz Gamrot, 4-1 in the last 5 fights. Looking pretty good lately. He's stepping in to take this fight on a bit of short notice when Fiziev fell out with an injury. Now, for Gamrot, dude's a good striker, but he's more of a grappler. His grappling threat opens up that striking. He's got pretty good boxing combinations and a good leg kick, but his striking defense leaves a lot to be desired. And even though he's durable, it's just bad optics when you're getting hit a lot, right? Grappling, he is solid. He's a solid grappler with a high motor, and he grapples at a high pace. He's got good takedown volume and mat returns, but he does struggle to hold his opponents down. When he does have them on the mat, though, he does look to land ground and pound and set up submission attempts. Not necessarily get either of them to get the finish, but he will use those to try to score and win on the scorecards, because a lot of times if he's winning in these higher level fights, it's a lot of times on the scorecard, and he's got 5 rounds to work here. So, at least I believe so, unless they made this a 3-rounder when he took it on short notice, and to which that thought just occurred to me right now that it could be possible, but I don't think so. I believe it is still 5 rounds. Either way, for Charles Oliveira, probably going to be the better striker, right? He's got that Muay Thai style on the feet. He's a solid striker with good teeps, good power, very dangerous in the pocket. And he's good at cutting off the cage. He makes guys kind of back their back up to the cage, and every time they try to circle out, he just gets in front of them, right? He stops that turn. Good volume, but his striking defense isn't very good either. He's a solid grappler as well. Different style of grappler, but a solid grappler nonetheless. He does have a pretty good double leg. We've seen that a lot more recently. He chains his submission attempts together really well, and he does use elbows to open up the submission attempts. Now, these aren't all my notes, especially on Charles Oliveira. I post all those up on Patreon and stuff. But if I try to put all of my notes for a guy like Oliveira, who's had a ton of fights in the UFC, it fills up the whole darn board. So I only do that if I'm going to try and do it just like a deep dive video. So I just highlighted some stuff that I thought made a lot of sense for this matchup. When I look at this matchup, the 5-on-in doesn't look great for Oliveira, and it does look pretty darn good for Gamrot. But at the same time, I think Oliveira has a lot of things going for him in this matchup. 1, he's probably the better striker. 2, I don't think Gamrot has the power to really make the striking defense of Oliveira pay, even though he's coming off of a brutal knockout in his last fight. I think the grappling ability of Oliveira is good enough to compete with the grappling of Gamrot, when we also saw Oliveira compete pretty well in the grappling with Arman Tsarukyan, who should have beaten Gamrot, but now we're playing MMA math. There's a whole thing. I think a lot of stuff plays in the favor of Oliveira. He was scheduled for this card, all that good stuff. It's down in Brazil, where Gamrot is definitely the foreigner there, and Oliveira is much more the hometown guy. So, I got to go Oliveira. I do. I got to take him. I think he has more finish upside, unless his chin is dust now, but because that just happens to anybody. You run the risk of that when they get just turned off like that. You run the risk of that. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to be fine. I got to take Oliveira. I'm going to take him to get it done here. It's a tough fight for both guys, but I think Oliveira has a lot more things going for him. But folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so glad you were here. Like I said, I recorded this way ahead of time. So if there's some fights that were added or changed and I didn't get that updated yet, I'm probably going to post something at some point. So just relax. They'll be there. But either way, thank you guys for being here, and I'll catch you all down the road.